Hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Powerful Jasmine, and I want to come on doing a small, half planned, half impromptu review on my perspective on the spirituality of sleep. And really, it's just a little vocabulary lesson. So, thank you so much for joining, and I appreciate subscribing because the sooner that I get to 50, just 50 subscribers, then I can start going live on my devices and not have to sit inside on my laptop. But thank you for watching and sharing. And really, I just wrote down some definitions. So, sleep, it's real simple, but instead of defining it, I wanted to explain it. So, there are different hours, amounts of sleep that every person needs. A newborn, which is less than 3 months old, needs up to 17 hours, 14 to 17, including naps. So, the including naps thing goes up to 5 years old, just to cover that. From 4 to 12 months, 12 to 16 hours per day. 1 to 2 years, 11 to 14 hours per day. 3 to 5, 10 to 13. And from what I am experiencing, also having two children, 6 to 13 years old, 9 to 11 hours a day. I can confirm my sons usually have a healthy 9 hours and they can wake up naturally on their own, easy breezy, no stress. 10 plus for my older of the two. They're 1 year apart though. Anyway, teenagers 14 to 17 years old need about 8 to 10 hours, while adults 18 all the way through 64, like the whole bundle, 7 to 9 hours, and older adults 65 and up, 7 to 8. So I want to just like kind of edit that there if I may. That adults need 7 to 9 throughout. But I thought it was going to go lower, honestly, for the older folk. I thought it would say 6 to 9. But anyway, even though a lot of us can function on 6 hours or even 5, and too many people say, oh, all I need is 4 hours, I'm good. It's not healthy because your brain benefits, your body benefits. And yes, it is psychological and spiritual sometimes. But for those who didn't come for too much of a lesson, a science lesson, I also see here, and this is just a surface level Google search, but I just felt like it was still worth talking about, and I hope this helps. Not getting enough sleep can have negative consequences, including for children, difficulty. But I think both of these categories, children and adults and older adults, I think it covers all of humanity, but I'll read it how it categorizes. It says for children, difficulty paying attention, learning, and behaving. Adults, decreased productivity, impaired concentration, and increased risk of accidents. Older adults, worsened cognitive decline, increased risk of falls and accidents, and lower quality of life. Yeah, I stand by what I said. I think all of those descriptions can reach across the different age groups, but I think that it's specified to what like the dominant or stronger issues are for those different categories. I'm gonna go on ahead and leave this alone because really at some point we're all going to literally sleep. So it's not about telling you to do something as much as giving you some context and depth as to why you want to be attentive to your sleep, why you want to be intentional about your sleep, why you want to make it an intimate experience for your livelihood. And so I also did look up slumber, which, as I have mentioned, it's interchangeable. Sleep, slumber, it's not an actual difference. However, uh, slumber can be verb or noun, and it implicates this idea of ease and surface level rest. Like, oh, look at her slumber. Oh, you could just slumber through a snore. You could just slumber through your alarm. It's this lofty, cloudy idea of it being soothing and gentle. Now deeper than that is slack. Sorry, sloth. I'm lying. I apologize. I'm looking at my notebook, and I haven't been in college in a long while. So I had a subnote. Okay, so I looked up slumber as it is relayed in the Bible. Okay, so the spirituality of sleep, right? So a biblical interpretation of slumber is to be inattentive, unaware, big one, mentally lazy or literally lazy, and unmotivated. So that connects right to the idea of slack for me, because when I looked it up, it actually used that word, but I don't want to be redundant. So I looked up sloth next, and in it right off the bat is laziness or being reluctant to work. Now, slack. This is the impromptu part of our segment, or the impromptu segment of our event now. Slack means, just these basic Google searches, all right? I'm not a scholar on this here. Slack. Okay. So it's not describing it as I've read it in the Bible, which is to be slow. That God is not slow to achieving these things. It's us that is slack about it. If there are things that we're hoping and waiting for God to do in our lives, what are we holding up because of our slack behavior? But I'm just go ahead and use the second definition for the verb: decrease or reduce in intensity, quantity, or speed. The first says loosen. So altogether, the adjective is not held tightly in position or loose. Um, you know what? I should have gone in order. I apologize. I was just honestly, to be honest, I was overwhelmed by the abundance of a definition compared to the others. So I'm gonna adjust right now and accept the fact that I am learning at this moment, right here in front of you, with you rather. So slack, adjective number one, not taut or held tightly in position, loose. Number two for adjective or business, it says characterized by a lack of work or activity, to be quiet. The noun has two. So it's the part of a rope that's loose, or a spell, a spell of inactivity or laziness. The verb to loosen, or the second is decrease or reduce in intensity, quantity, or speed. So glad I did read all through it. Thank you for your patience and grace. So altogether, it does express the point that I was getting at and briefly or superficially understanding from a week ago, and that is how impactful our decision or allowance of literal earthly human sleep transferring into how we conduct ourselves throughout life, how our mentality works, how our day-to-day operations can be more or less motivated and determined and intense based on the amount of energy we choose to give to our minds, how we are perceiving and pursuing the day. I like how that sounded. So honestly, that's all I want to do in this video is share what I deeply considered on this topic and how it can be helpful to each of us in our day to day. And some things are not one day at a time. I can say, honestly, just looking at my past month and a half or two, a lot of things might be week to week. Feeling and sluggish and down can be many days. And then one day you decide to turn it all around. One day your prayer turns it all around. One day you talk to somebody and turns it all around. Or the opposite, like a really good week, an amazing week, and then a really not expected turn. So I'm not speaking that onto you, having bad many days and weeks, but I can just personally share that it's hard sometimes on a day to day, but sometimes it's dragged out. Sometimes we are also prey to the subconscious, prey to the invisible, prey to what we are not perceptive about. and sleep is one of those things. So for all that you are getting, to be encouraged in your dream life, if you wake up feeling motivated, if you feel like some of your waking issues found some resolve or relief during your slumber, be blessed. I just also want to make sure that our spirits and our day-to-day being is not slothful or slack in this life. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. And again, thank you for subscribing and sharing. I'm very hopeful and thankful to reaching at least 50 subscribers very soon. That way I can begin going live from my mobile devices. But regardless, I thank you for being a part of this journey. And I thank God, I bless God for you being able to benefit from the things that I share. Thank you and have a good one.